We have finally reached the final update of this series. We filed a lawsuit against our neighbors. This video will take us up to date in real time on the entire situation. Thank God. If you guys missed the last update, you're gonna wanna watch it first. It's up here on the screen.
I'm the one that called the wildlife agency, or the wildlife and fishery agents. And I actually spoke to, I believe he's a lieutenant, but I'm not completely sure. And he came out personally himself. He walked my property, saw the area, then he went and spoke to her. I don't know all what was said. She has a kind of a louder, high-pitched voice to begin with, in my opinion, so I can't say she was yelling or upset or what her mood was towards the agent, but I do know she did receive that citation. I don't know the details of that, nor do I have a copy of the report yet, but I will most certainly request a copy when it's ready. And but it is illegal to harass a fisherman, and that's exactly what she's done for quite a while. She has a history of it, and now we're just going to be more due diligent and make sure that we have our documentation and proof. We're adding more cameras to our property. I don't care if she sees this video, because I hope she sees that we're going to be more, pay more attention, put these cameras up. We're no longer going to allow this harassment, and we want our boys to be able to fish and enjoy the property and do so without being harassed.
I just know Bridget is sitting there watching every single upload you post. Obviously.
For those of you who don't know, there's an octopus missing in the neighborhood. Kid you not, we're pretty sure it was stolen.
Hold on, what is happening? A real ass octopus. You know, little dangly legs. Like, he's a real octopus was in your neighborhood and is now missing? Okay. I don't know how to take this seriously, but okay.
And there has been signs put out, stolen.
What?
And this particular octopus was a metal statue on top of someone's mailbox, and someone has stolen it.
And here I was in this whole last 15 seconds looking like a fucking idiot. We're not going to continue watching this video, you guys, because if it was a real octopus, I might, but I want to get to just the neighbor stuff.
Our cat recently came up missing. Now, I'm not blaming anybody or pointing any fingers or accusing anybody of anything, so let's get that out there first. But is it coincidence or is it not that our neighbors recently received a citation for harassing our boys, and then a few days later, our cat comes up missing?
And let's not forget, you already had an issue with your cat going into her house and her feeding your cat and all that. But is she crazy enough to steal your cat?
Now, he's an outdoor cat. I get it. He can be anywhere. Anything could have happened, but he's well fed. He's fed dry food, wet food every single morning and evening, as well as given treats every now and then. Our boys play with him on a regular basis. We have a large yard. He rarely leaves our yard. He's always around. So for him to leave, there's usually a reason, right? But I do know the neighbors love cats. They've made it very clear to us in text messages in the past. She's in fact brought him into her house in the past, and when I confronted her and stopped, I don't know what happened to our cat. Hopefully, fingers crossed, he comes back, because we love Banana. He's a big fatty and we miss him.
Oh,
and
Banana!
It's a shame. I sure as heck hope that it's just, I don't know. I just hope that nothing bad's happened to him, and I hope he comes back. But I figured I'd share. I figured I'd document this, and I'll keep you guys posted. Hopefully he comes back.
Raise your hand if you think Bridget is crazy enough to steal this woman's cat. You know what? I think she has it in her based off the behavior we've seen, but I don't think she stole the cat. That's where I stand. Also, don't know why I said banana like that. I wouldn't blame you for unsubscribing. I truly would. In my head, I unsubscribed from myself in that moment.
This is the lowest the river's been since we've dug our property, and wow, look how much water still comes in even when it is this low. The river does fluctuate often, but when it's dead low, like you see here, it does not like to come all the way up where we typically would launch, which is why she put that fence and why we had to dig. Look how beautiful these cypress trees are whenever the river is low. 19 trees total, which is why it makes it tough for the boys to fish on this side of our property, and the reason they need to fish on this other side over here, which is again why she put the fence. Because she simply does not want them to fish. There's still a ton of work to be done, as you can see. Sand, dirt, sod, and we have big plans that I can't wait to share. But our plans are on hold for now until the parish fixes the sinkholes from a small drainage issue in the drainage easement. Once that's complete in the next few weeks, we will get back to work. For those of you who have asked, yes, there are alligators in the river. This is a small guy. A few weeks ago, there was a 10-footer, but she has since left. If the alligators become an issue, we call the nuisance line and the wildlife and fishery agent will come out and scoop them up. As you can see, we have a lot of bamboo from the neighbor's property growing onto ours, but we've trimmed those back as much as we can because we have big plans for this side of our property as well. So stay tuned.
You lost me at alligator, let me tell you that. Yeah. Now, the invite to your beach, I don't know if I want to be there anymore. I did always wonder why you guys didn't just fish on the other side. Not that I think you should have to. I think that fence is stupid, but I did wonder if it'd be easier if you just, but now it makes sense.
Remember when my neighbor was yelling at my son for fishing from our property here, and his fishing line got stuck in the fence that she has put in the river? The report is in from the wildlife fishery agent report where they wrote her a ticket for harassing my son for fishing.
It's like Christmas morning anytime she whips out actual evidence of this entire thing. So exciting.
And the report confirms how ridiculous she really is. And it confirms how adamant she is that she truly believes that she owns the river water. Because not only has almost every agency that has been here told her that she does not own the river, the judge himself, the sheriff's office, and now in black and white, the wildlife and fishery agents, and she still does not believe it. Now pause and read.
We're not, but I'll listen to her spark notes.
This is page 1 of 3, but I want to specifically mention here on page 1 how it confirms that the water behind our homes are indeed part of the river, and how it fluctuates daily, and that it goes off of the river gauge just like the river does, as I have demonstrated and shown in many of my videos, and how we use the river gauge to see what the river level is going to be behind our home, to know which sandbar we would like to go to depending on the height of the river, etc., etc. Here's page 2 of 3. Paragraph 2 is upsetting and exactly why I'm fighting for my boys. The report shows how much she contradicts herself. She knows exactly what she's trying to do. She knows she's lying. She knows she's trying to make something into something that it's not. And the wildlife agents seen right through it. This is page 3 of 3.
Literally the top line of this page. The water itself was not owned by the subject. The husband nodded in agreement. Her husband, like, is he not losing his mind over this entire thing? And is like, sweetie, we gotta put this to rest. We don't own the water.
And the first line on this page confirms maybe for once that her husband's like, hey, I know. And I guess the wife is too far gone into all of this and just cannot see it for herself, but she does not own the water of the river. I just don't get it. I'll never get it, right? How can she be so angry of a person that she doesn't want little boys to fish in the backyard of their own home?
That poor kid, man. He's probably like, damn it, my fishing line got stuck on her fence. Now I gotta go untangle it, and I know I'm gonna have to deal with her coming out here yelling at me. I need a sip of water, and you know what? You do too. You do too. We all need it. I encourage you to take a sip. We're hopping on hydration station. Cheers. Why is that so fluorescent? Bright like my future. Yeah, right.
I'll give you 3 guesses on who called the police, and the first 2 guesses don't count.
You gotta be kidding me.
Yep, you guessed it. The neighbors. What are we on, like call 33?
What did she call for this time?
But regardless, when you've had the police called on your family over 30 times from your neighbor, you already know that if your son's going to have his party at our house for his birthday, that you're going to expect the police to show up. It's like we've become experts at police calls. And just for the record, I just can't believe for 1 second that she could hear any type of music or anything going on, because where they were playing, they were in our garage playing music, and our garage is insulated and on the complete opposite side of our home compared to where her home is, and we both live on an acre. But regardless, she called, the police did come out. I haven't pulled the report yet. Well, it's just going to be a CAD report. It's not going to be an actual full report, because he didn't determine anything wrong going on. So he just said, hey, be mindful, and he left, and we continued to do our thing. But the part that's kind of comical, and you have to make light of some situations, right? Because if you don't, you'll drive your own self crazy. But when the police came, like I said, we are experts. Not everybody else is. When the police showed up, the kids scattered and ran, of course. And my son's going, don't run. Everybody calm down. It's just the police. Here's a clip from the night. And even though I'm laughing today, or not really laughing, but just making light of it, because what else am I going to do, right? We already knew it was going to happen. It's still harassment. She continues the harassment.
I mean, that's funny, because I remember as a kid, oh my God, are you kidding me? The cops, especially if you're at a party and the cops rolled up. Pretty sure we threw one of my friends over a fence one time. No, not pretty sure. The 100% happened. She was very intoxicated. Why am I telling this story? I'll tell it anyway. Very intoxicated, high school party, you know the drill. It was in my friend's backyard. Cops were called, they showed up, and she just wasn't moving fast enough. So, you know, we all just had to whoop. She ran real fast after that.
I get this question a lot, so I figured I would address it.
Honestly, I get this question a lot in the comments, so I'm happy this is being addressed. Why doesn't she have to remove the fence? So many people keep saying that, but why? How does it not break a code? Let's get the answer.
The reason they're telling me they cannot have her remove the fence is because she owns the land beneath the water, just not the water itself, right? So while I can fish, boat, kayak, all we want on that portion of the water, we cannot physically get out of the boat and stand on that land that's under that water. And that's because it's hers, and that would be trespassing. The part that I don't understand, and that's mind-boggling to me, and that anybody has yet to be able to explain to me, is the type of materials that are used to put this fence up. The galvanized wire that runs across the waterway that can hardly be seen, that is super dangerous. How is it allowed? I don't know. Why it's allowed? I'm not sure. And what's also mind-boggling to me is that the way the law reads in Louisiana is you cannot use anything to prevent someone from fishing. Not only can you not harass them from fishing, but you can't use something to prevent them from fishing. And that's exactly what this fence is doing. And she has made that very clear to many, many different departments, that the reason she put this up is to prevent the boys from casting their fishing pole from our property into the water, and also to try to prevent us from using that portion of the water. Until we dug our property deeper, sometimes when the water was on the lower end, on the lower side, we wouldn't be able to get through to the main river unless we use that portion of the water. So the fence was placed there intentionally for that. There are no other sides to the fence, so clearly the fence does not serve any purpose as far as trying to fence off anything like a traditional fence would. So long story short,
yeah, I never thought of that. It's not like they put a fence literally barricading their section of the land. They literally just put it on your side to prevent you. It's a very personal thing.
No, they're not having her remove it or making her remove it, and I don't have really a direct answer aside from she does own the land beneath the water, but not the water itself. So to me, it just seems like the fence still should not be allowed. And if we're just allowed to start fencing off areas on the river, imagine if I owned a piece of property that was on the main body of the water, the main river where everyone goes, and I just decided, since I own into the waterway there, that I was going to put a fence or some type of makeshift fence or wire or whatever.
It's
Would that be
crazy that that's
allowed in the main portion of the river? Probably not. So what does it make a difference if the water is used regularly, once a week, twice a week, hardly at all? Like, what does that matter? It shouldn't. But unfortunately, it would be something that we would have to fight, and it would cost us thousands and thousands of dollars to fight it. And so I figure just let her have it, and if and when somebody gets hurt, she's liable, and potentially other departments.
Are you telling me that by the end of this series, this freaking fence is not going to be removed? There has to be a way. There has to be a loophole here.
All right, guys, here is your update from Hurricane Francine and the water fence. And as we know, it's serious when this guy shows up, right? But unfortunately not serious enough, because the fence is still there and standing. I actually don't have a ton to update you on at the moment. It was a pretty low-key storm, surprisingly enough. And we were very lucky to not even lose power. However, I want to show you the river gauge, because the river is definitely coming up from the storm. And as you can see, look at this drastic change. This is how we follow the river gauge, as mentioned many of times before. And this is how we determine whether or not the river is going to be high or low, or what the river is going to do behind our home. And as well, it was mentioned in the Wildlife and Fishery Agents report. This next clip I'm about to show you was during the storm, and you could see how much the water was pouring into the river from the rain and the neighborhood and the drains and whatnot.
Oh, dang. Her entire fence is going to be buried.
Really, the winds weren't terrible until later that night, and most of the time it was a pretty low-key storm, like mentioned. Now today, this picture is from today. You can see the debris starting to come in. We see some tree limbs and a few logs, but nothing major or crazy. Overall, very lucky, and I'm
Her flower bed is drowned again.
well for the storm. I hope everybody else did as well.
I was not so secretly hoping that that fence was going to be torn down or destroyed by the hurricane. That would have been the universe helping you out, but apparently not. Next update, this is from November 1st, 2024. We're getting there.
Next week is the court date for the violation that my neighbor received for harassing the boys while they were fishing. October 9th, actually, to be exact. And
What?
but here's the thing, if my neighbor chooses not to pay
Why did I think she just got a ticket? I didn't know we were going to court.
the violation, then she has to appear in court. If she chooses to pay it, then she doesn't have to appear in court, just like a regular standard ticket you would receive in driving a car or whatnot. My husband and I intend to be there. It is about an hour and a half away from our home, so we're going to stay there the night before. We'll make a day of it if she chooses to pay the violation, because we most likely will not know until the last minute. So we're prepared either way. And of course, I'll be bringing all of my documentation that I don't know that I'll be able to use or not, but I will definitely be bringing it to be prepared in the event that I can use it. I will say that since the violation, we haven't heard much from her. It has been very quiet. I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch to say that she's realized that what she's doing is crazy, but nor will she probably ever realize that. But at least I do know that it has been quiet since the violation, and hopeful that this is a sign of some peace in the future. I will be updating you guys as I know more, and will definitely fill you in on everything that happens in court.
I personally believe she will be showing up to court, because I don't think her ego will allow her to pay that ticket. So that's my guess.
You guys have been patiently waiting on an update, and it has just been one heck of a day. You guys aren't going to believe the outcome.
Oh my God, tell us.
It is definitely just, the story continues. We got there around 9 a.m. They put us in a separate room, just me, my husband, and my two boys. We ended up not staying out because the boys were coming to court. When we got there, I'm not sure if she was there or not yet, but the two wildlife and fishery agents who wrote the citation was there, as well as their attorney who was going to represent them. At some point in time, she had went in the room where the judge would be. The judge was on Zoom, and We waited for about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, give or take a little bit. And then a gentleman comes in the room. I'm not sure if he was their attorney. I'm actually not even sure who he is now that I think about it. But he appeared to run everything and talk with everybody and let everybody know what's going on. So when he came in, he let us know that the neighbors had asked for a continuance because they said they were not prepared and that they wanted to have their attorney present and that they were not able to enter their security cam footage into evidence prior to, and they wanted to be able to do that beforehand. So they asked for a continuance. Now, to put it in perspective, she received this citation on May 31st. So that's roughly 4.5 months ago. She had plenty of time to prepare. She had plenty of time to get her attorney present, and she chose to ask for a continuance, and it was granted.
No! What is this judge? Okay. Someone's got to be paying these people off. Come on. The judge is like, oh, you couldn't get your security cam footage within 4 months? The security cam footage that's literally just going to show a kid trying to untie his line from your fence? Like, what do you mean? What are you gathering?
The citation is $200. She says she's going to contest it. And I know what's on that evidence that she has is only going to prove our case more. What's mind-boggling to me is that it just proves how ridiculous she is and how persistent she is in this matter of our boys fishing, that she would hire an attorney to come to court with her 2 hours from his location over a $200 fine.
Insane.
That there's plenty of evidence of what she is being accused of is true. And I can't wrap my mind around it. I don't think I ever will be able to. It just adds to what I believe is her insanity or obsession with us. It's just very, very bizarre to me that she would want to contest this. It is so bizarre that the wildlife fishery agents in the office that we had to go to today, or the courtroom, wasn't even able to give us the procedures of how things happen, because they said it never typically gets this far. Our court date was continued to January 15th. So yet again, now we wait. Today, my husband and I took off of work. My boys missed school. It's just, I guess it shouldn't surprise me, right? She will do whatever she can to try to cause chaos in our lives.
What day is it? January 7th. God, I gotta wait till January 15th to find out what happens? I told you, her ego is bigger than a $200 ticket that she could have just paid and moved on with her life. This is gonna take us into 2026, mark my words.
Yes, our entire front yard is dug up. This is why I've mentioned a couple times that we were holding off on finishing our boat launch, because I knew this project was in the works and was going to be done soon. When we purchased our home, there was a sinkhole. We were aware of it. We had contacted the parish about it. So now, fast forward, almost 5 years later, the project is being completed. Basically, our entire neighborhood drains, not actually our entire neighborhood, the back portion of our neighborhood drains through our yard, underneath our yard, and the piping was sinking and causing our front yard to sink and have these sinkholes all over. Now, needless to say, our yard is a disaster. They have to come across here, they have to come across my entire driveway into our boat launch area. They're tearing up our driveway, as you can see right there. And this will go across all the way to our boat launch. But here's the kicker. The drainage also comes across from over here and has caused sinkholes over here by our driveway. And where does that pipe run?
Oh,
you guessed it.
My gosh.
The neighbor's driveway. So her driveway has to be removed, a portion of her driveway. Not as big of a project as mine, obviously, because mine has most of it. But I'm going to fill you in on all of the details of what is going on with that soon. But once all this is complete, then we are gonna go back to getting our boat launch squared away. There's not a whole lot to be done, but we of course didn't want to put the finishing sod and rock and all that stuff until this was complete.
We all know how Bridget is going to react to that, and somehow you're going to get the blame for that project and her driveway being torn up. I just know it. All right, this takes us to December 16th, and this is the last neighbor update as of now, but I will be, keeping my eye on that.
Well, after what felt like forever, but was really about a month and a half, the parish has officially finished the drainage project at my home, and our boat launch is back together and looking very nice. As mentioned in a previous video, they had to pull up a good portion of our driveway to get underneath because the drainage on our yard was sinking from rotting pipe, and the backside of our neighborhood drains beneath our yard, so it had to be repaired by the parish. But not only did they have to pull up my driveway, they had to pull up a little small piece of the neighbor's driveway because that portion was rotting out as well. But it was a very minor spot. However, that part that had to be pulled up did prevent her from going in and out of her driveway because it was the only way in or out. Surprisingly, she did not cause a ton of issues during this process. I did hear through the grapevine she did make some unreasonable requests, such as the fact that she couldn't drive in her driveway for a day was upsetting to her, and they told her to park on the street, and she said that she couldn't park on the street because the HOA wouldn't allow it, even though, as we all know, there are exceptions to rules here. And she wanted to know if they were going to build a bridge for her to be able to access her property, or whether or not they were going to have the concrete fully set in, and if they didn't, then if her car sank in the concrete, she would need it replaced. And just she's a little bit over the top, in my opinion. And that's what I'm starting to realize, is that she's just over the top with most people, not just us. But truthfully, other than that, there wasn't anything from her. I don't hardly see her. She hardly comes out, and it's actually been pretty peaceful. Since the Wildlife and Fishery Agency wrote her a ticket for harassment, things have calmed down. But I want to make note that we have not really used the river that much because the river has been at a dead low for quite a while. But also we've been extremely busy, been out of town, back and forth. And so we really haven't had the opportunity to use the river. So I will be interested to see how things play out as we move forward here. The fence is still there and most likely will still remain, although we do have court coming up in January, which, as you know, was postponed from last month.
I was really hoping by 2025 this was going to be resolved. So I'm wishing you the best of luck in 2025. I would say Happy New Year, but you have court in like a week. I can't believe we're 5 years into this story. This is crazy. Of course, I'll keep you updated though. Stay classy out there, stay sassy, and I'll see you tomorrow.